Everybody glad to be here? Yeah, have you ever asked the question, what's the use? What's this all about? Why am I here? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we doing what we're doing? I think these are all really good questions. And that's why we decided we would start a new series that would echo some of the thoughts of King Solomon that would cause us to kind of ask why. Ask why. But before we get into the message, I got a little video that explains what asking why is all about. So let's check it out.
Why? Get up, girl.
Why?
It's daytime.
Not daytime, it's uptime.
Yeah, it's uptime. You've got to brush your teeth.
Why?
Because you have morning breath.
Why?
Why what? No, kids can't have coffee.
Why?
Because coffee is for big people.
Why?
Because little kids can't drink it. It makes you too hyper.
Why make me too hyper? Give me a little bit.
No.
Why? Sun clothes?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we're going to a sand park and I don't want you to get sand in your butt.
Is sand on my butt?
Yeah.
Why? I don't want to get dirty.
Nope.
Why? You're my mommy.
Yeah. We gotta go potty before we go outside, okay?
Why?
Because if not, you're gonna go pee-pee in the car. I'm not driving.
Why?
Because Mama's driving.
Why Mama's driving? Why don't look like Daddy's house?
It's the same color like Daddy's house.
Why?
Because the building is red.
Why building is red?
Because it's made of bricks.
Why made of red?
Because bricks hold up well and they don't fall. We're gonna leave soon, okay?
Why?
Because we've been here for a long time. That's where dogs go poo-poo.
Why?
Because they don't go in the potty.
Why they don't go to potty?
Because they go in the grass.
Why? Hold me, hold me.
Oh no, I can't hold you.
Why?
Because you're heavy.
Slow down. Slow down.
Slow down?
Yeah.
No, don't touch that.
Why?
Because it's gonna prick you.
Why?
I don't have your iPad.
Why?
I don't have it either.
Why?
Because it's home. No, you can't play with my camera.
Why?
It's not a toy.
Kids don't play with their mommy's hammer. Why?
We have to take your clothes off.
Why?
Because it's dirty. No, put that away.
Why?
Because it's nap time. I swear, I cannot make this stuff up. I keep myself sane by reminding myself that this is how kids learn. But seriously, guys, my little girl is lucky. I love her. I hope you guys can find humor in...
So you kind of get the idea, right? Any of you had a 2-year-old and walked through this process? Some of you are like, yeah. If you haven't had a 2-year-old, you were that 2-year-old at one point that drove your mom and your dad crazy. Asking the question, why? We ask it because it's how we learn. But then as we get older, we stop asking it as much because we get the answers we need and because we think that we know what we're supposed to do and when we're supposed to do it. But to be quite honest with you, I think sometimes it's good for us to stop and just ask why. Even as fully grown adults, I think sometimes we should ask why. Have you ever found yourself about to do something and then you asked yourself why and then you didn't do it? Have you ever done that to yourself? Like, you ever been there? Like, you were about to buy something that you didn't need. Like, you're going to buy a $500 pair of jeans or something. And you're like, oh, yeah, these are awesome. I love the way they fit and all this stuff. And then you're like, do I really need this? And then you don't. You hold on to the $500. Or you were about to consume an entire, like, gallon of ice cream or half gallon of ice cream. And then you thought, why am I doing this? I'm not going to feel very good afterwards. And you don't. Or you're about to say something inappropriate. Like, oh, I know, I got it. I got the zinger. I got the right thing to say. I know just exactly what to say to put so-and-so in their place. But then you're like, why am I doing this? I got to hold on. Or maybe you're about to date someone that you have no future with, but you're heading to the date. Then you ask the question, well, why am I doing this? And then you're like, oh, maybe that's not such a good idea. Or you're about to go to a party and you realize, oh, that one's a lot of trouble. I better not go to that. You ask yourself why, and you don't. Here's the truth about why. If we can't explain why we do something, it's entirely possible that we shouldn't do it. You ever thought about that? If we can't explain why we do something, it is entirely possible that we shouldn't do it. Now, here's a good why. Let's say I get my kids up to go to church, and it's early. And they're like, why do we have to go to church? Well, because that's what we do, because, God did all these things for us, and we just want to gather with God's people. Why? Well, because we love to worship God. Why? Well, because of what he did for us. Why? Well, I don't know why. I don't know why he did it, but he loves me, so I'm all in. That's a good why. Or here's another why. Let's say that your teenage daughter is getting ready to go to prom, and she comes walking down the steps, and of course she's beautiful, but she may not be dressed as appropriately, dads, as you might think. So you say, oh, honey, you look so beautiful. She's like, well, thank you so much. I've been working on all my, my look and stuff, And let me ask you a question, though. Why aren't you wearing more? Well, because I love the way this fits my body. I've been working on it. Well, why do you love the way it fits your body? Well, because I look good. Well, why do you want everyone to see that much of your body? Well, because everyone else is. Well, why is everyone else? Well, I don't, Dad, just shut up, okay? I tell you what, I'll shut up when you go out and put a little more clothes on, right? Those are good why conversations. If we can't explain why we do something, it's entirely possible that we shouldn't do it. The book of Ecclesiastes, as we read it, it's not going to ask why, but it's going to cause you to ask why. It's like a mirror as you read it and you think about all the things that life brings us. It causes us to say, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why do I care so much about this? Why am I so invested in this? And it's such a powerful book for us to reflect on. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be going through this series called Vanity. Speaking of the book of Ecclesiastes, most conservative scholars say that Solomon wrote it, and I would tend to agree with them. Solomon was king of Israel. He was the son of King David, and Solomon experienced all that any one human can possibly experience in life. I mean, he had access to anything. Money was no object. He had everything he could ever want. Solomon had the nicest house that anyone could have. He had more money than anyone could have. He had more women in life than anyone could have. He had more popularity in his life than anyone could have. He had more friends in his life than anyone could have. He had more wisdom than anyone could have. He had more success than anyone that could ever have. And you say, how is that possible? Well, he had all those things because he could. He had the ability, he had the authority to take control of any of those things in life, but he learned so much from this. Those things that you dream about, those things that you want, like you have a dream and you're so excited and then you wake up and then it's like, oh, you don't have it. You know how that is? Solomon had all of that stuff. So there was no dreaming for him. Whatever he wanted, he got. But now that he's looking back, he's toward the end of his life and he's looking back on his life, now he's thinking, maybe that wasn't all it's cracked up to be. Maybe I need to help people think, why am I going after these things? Here's my big idea for you today. A meaningful and lasting why is only found pursuing God's purpose. A meaningful, meaning significant, a meaningful and lasting why. Lasting means it lasts beyond 10 years, 50 years, 500 years. It lasts in eternity. The only meaningful and lasting why is found pursuing God's purpose. That's our big idea, and I've got 4 subpoints for you today, and we're just going to read through the first chapter of Ecclesiastes. So if you've got your Bibles with you, you can open up to Ecclesiastes. Otherwise, the words will be up here on the screen, and here we go. We're going to start in chapter 1, verse 1. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? How many of you use that word vanity very often? When I think of the word vanity, now I'm a child of the 80s, I think of this. I think of this is what I think of a vanity. Like I can think of the 80s Smurfs cartoon. He's always looking in the mirror at himself. Or some of you, you're thinking this. Yeah, so you're thinking like, ladies, don't get too excited, okay? We're not going to be talking about home remodels. Vanity, although he's got the mirrors, it's got taking care of yourself, it kind of has a close meaning to that, but the deeper word of vanity in the passage is derived from the Hebrew word hebel. I want everybody to say that. Hebel. It's like like Hebrew. Hebel. Come on, say it. Oh, man, that's great. Get that phlegm up, all right? This word hebel means vapor. So this is closer to what Solomon is referring to. Vapor with an O, not an E like you vape. You're not a vapor, but actual vapor, okay? So it's referring to vapor. When I think of vapor, I think of a cloud. Are you with me here? Next slide. Take a look at this. Every once in a while in the morning, you will see clouds like this. And when I lived in northern Indiana, they would actually have school delays for vapor, for fog. And then we look up in the sky and we see these big puffy clouds. Then you get in an airplane and you just drive right through those things. You would think those big puffy clouds, according to cartoons, they're like angels sitting on them, strumming their harp and all that. But that's not actually what a cloud is, right? A cloud is vapor. And there are two things about vapor or a cloud that you got to understand. The first thing is this. When you see fog, when you see a cloud, you can't grab it, you can't grasp it. You can't take a cloud and put it in your pocket. You can't make it your own. This is my cloud. You can't take it with you. You can't save it. You can't put it in a box. That cloud is there as long as the atmosphere can support that cloud. The second thing about a cloud that you got to understand is you can't control how long it will be there. You have no control over it. So as soon as the air, the temperature, and everything adjusts, the clouds are gone. We can't control how long it will be there. Now, when Solomon says that life is vanity, he doesn't just say it's like vanity. He says it is vanity. So this word vanity and this word vapor can be used synonymously. So when Solomon says life is vapor, he's not just saying it's like vapor. He's literally saying life is vapor. Same picture with the cloud. You can't grasp and take a cloud with you. You can't grasp and take life with you either. All of your accomplishments, all the things you work for, all your awards, all your prizes, all your resources, all your money, you've never seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul, have you? You can't take that U-Haul, you can't take that stuff with you. And so Solomon is saying all the things that I've acquired, all the things that I've done, all the honors, I can't take it with me. It's a cloud. The second thing is he says, about a cloud is you can't control how long it will be there. So some of you, you're in a season of life, or maybe you were in a season of life, and you look back, you're like, oh, those were the glory days. The kids were little, and they were cute, and they all had matching outfits, and everyone, we wanted to go to a restaurant, everybody wanted to go to the same one, and they'd say, I love you, Daddy, and all those types of things. Or maybe you look back, oh, man, high school, that was the glory days. I could throw that football over those mountains. You look back, that season of life was the glory days. But the truth of the matter is, you can't go back to that season. You can't control that. For some of you, you think about a season of life, you're like, I am glad that's over, so it's a blessing. Some of you might think back on maybe you had a hard middle school or a rough high school, or maybe you're thinking about in the military, you had to go through boot camp, or you had to start at the bottom of the ladder, like at your job, and you had to work your way up. You think of those seasons that you didn't like. Whether it's a season you like or you didn't like, you don't have any control over it. I mean, you might think you do, but God ultimately is the one that has control over it. So we can't grasp life. We can't take it. We can't put it in our pocket. We can't take it with us. And we can't control how long we have it. There's only one that knows how long we are going to live. So what we learn here is that everything is just a vapor apart from God's purpose. My second point is this. Our drive for achievement and security will never be satisfied apart from God's purpose. Take a look at verse 4. We're going to read 4 through 8. A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, they flow again. All things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What's he saying? Every single day, what happens? The sun comes up, and then at the end of every single day, what happens? The sun goes down. Do you and I have any bearing and any control over that whatsoever? The fact that the rivers and streams flow into the sea, can you and I have any impact on that? The direction that the wind blows and how it comes back, the weather, do we have any real significant control over those types of things? No. It's all in God's hands. And Solomon's saying, I had control of everything that I could control, and now I look back on it, and it was just a whole bunch of weariness. I worked so hard to build this and do this and have this treaty and work, make this relationship work, and I earned this honor, and I have all this money in the bank, but it's all weariness. Because no matter what I do, the sun still comes up, the sun still goes down. It's kind of like Bill Murray on Groundhog Day, if you really think about it. I mean, that's how life is. It just goes and it goes and it goes. And this sounds really silly, but when we think about work and our desire for achievement and our desire for success, I was speaking with one of our staff the other day, and I said, you know, one of the things that I've had to learn and grasp is that every church leader is completely dispensable. Completely dispensable. That means any one of us, we are completely replaceable. No matter how successful we are, no matter how hard we work, no matter what type of flair we have or what kind of following we have. I mean, sure, you know, when I leave, you know, it might sting a little. I hope it stings you a little, if I ever would, you know. You might cry a tear for me, right? We might hug it out. We think that life will never be the same again, but the world moves on, and work moves on, and the church moves on, and ministry moves on. And in time, we all become a distant memory. Every single one of us. The only things that will last are the things that we pour into people's lives. Think about sports, records. Why do we keep records in sports? Well, basically, so that we can see who's the best. And all records are just made to be broken. Drew Brees this year broke the all-time touchdown record. And guess what? If he doesn't play this year, Tom Brady's going to break it. And if Tom Brady doesn't play this year, Pat Mahomes is going to break it in 10 years. Or maybe 3. What do you think, Matt? Yeah, so the records are made to be broken. We thought for sure that nobody would ever break the consecutive days working streak in baseball, but Cal Ripken broke that after like 2 decades of coming into the office and working and playing every single day. Eli Manning, this year, he just retired. Did you know that he's the highest earning NFL player in history? Highest earning NFL player in history. But guess what? If Brady or Breeze or some of those guys, if they play one more year, they're going to pass him up. Any kind of record that's established is made to be broken. Let me ask you a question. Who was our president 40 years ago? You got to think. I'm pretty sure it was Jimmy Carter. I'm no historian, but I'm pretty sure it was Jimmy Carter. How many of you know a lot about Jimmy Carter? Yeah, 5 of you. Okay, I mean, I hate to say it, but not too many of you know a whole lot. He was a one-term president. What about 30 years ago? I don't know. Was it George Bush the first? Was it I don't know, 20 years ago? I think it was George W. Bush. Sure, these presidents, they have policies and they change and they tweak our history and maybe the way that we pay our taxes, you know, child dependence and those kind of things. All good. They have small impacts on our life, but for the most part, you don't hear about these presidents unless some scandal comes out or there's a major health problem. This tells us that our drive, I mean, presidents, think about it, the most powerful man in the world holding the highest office in the entire world, and we don't even remember back 4 decades. Think about that. This tells us that our drive for any type of earthly success is never going to permanently satisfy us. What is success today? That's the other thing. You're maybe really successful today. Guess what? You're not going to be successful tomorrow. Think about the transportation industry. Early 1900s, everything was about the railroad. And then cars. And now we've got airplanes. Now we're going to start having flying cars and super trains. I mean, it's going from one thing to the other. Earthly success is never going to permanently satisfy. Let's think about this too. Think about your job. As secure as you think your job is, it really isn't that secure. I mean, if you worked for Blockbuster a couple decades ago, I think you know what I'm talking about. If you worked for Chrysler, huge corporation, a few years back, you know what I'm talking about. If you worked for TWA a few years ago, you know what I'm talking about. Some of you don't even know what TWA is. It's crazy. Why? Because everything is a vapor, and our drive for achievement and security is never going to be satisfied apart from God's purpose. My third point is this. What we think is new in life is just recycled. History, in other words, history repeats itself. What we think is new in life is just recycled apart from God's purpose. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 9 through 11 says this. What has been is what will be. What has been done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. I think he inspired Dr. Seuss here a little bit. We got some rhyme going. He's talking about under the sun. Remember, a few verses ago, he talked about the sun rising and the sun setting. The one constant for Solomon has been, I've seen the sunrise, I've seen the sunset, I've seen things change, I've seen all these things happen, but at the end of the day, nothing's really new. Is there a thing of which is said, see, this is new? It has been already in the ages before. There's no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of later things yet to be. You know, many times in life, we have personal revelations, or we get ideas, or we see something, we study something, we see it on TV, and we're thinking, oh, this is this whole new truth. Solomon's saying, yeah, you may be discovering something, but God's the one that designed it. You're just learning about life. You're probably not totally discovering anything. I mean, think about it. We're reading a 2,000-year-old book, and we're getting new revelation from it personally every single day if we choose to read it. I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday, and he was talking about, eating healthy, taking care of your body, being a vegetarian versus, eating meat. And, we were talking about it, and, the bottom line is you're better off. I apologize to anybody that works for the, meat, beef industry or chicken industry. You're probably better off not eating meat. But I love meat so much, right? So I do. But it takes me back. I'm like, in Daniel chapter 1, Daniel said, I'm not going to eat the meat that everyone else does. And he said, test me in a few days. And so they test Daniel 10 days later. He's stronger, he's leaner, he's healthier than all the other guys that ate meat. I mean, so a truth that we talk about a lot is actually something that happened thousands of years ago. Solomon had been alive long enough to see these cycles, decades, where he's like, this is in style, now this is out of style, now it's back in style. Let's talk about some things that are back that maybe we're in, maybe some of you think they're new. Next slide. Oh, man, this is new. You just cuff your pants real tight. Man, I remember in first grade, trying to get that tight cuff. I didn't quite have the motor skills to do it. But that was the thing, right? How about this next one? Acid wash jeans. Man, those are so cool. Your kids are like, oh yeah, they got flecks in them and it's not the full color because they've been eaten by acid. I'm like, oh wow. Really? That was cool when I was in second grade. And then we got the high-waisted pants, ladies, right? That's back. I mean, all these styles. What about bangs? Bangs are back. Well, maybe not these bangs. A little extreme. Maybe. What about these bangs? Hey, these are the things that are kind of a cycle, right? Baby Shark, this huge phenomenon. I was singing Baby Shark when I was 5. It's nothing new, but how many millions of dollars have been made off of Baby Shark, something that just got recycled? And then last but not least, anything about Disney. I mean, most of the things about Disney now, all they got to do, they can coast. They can just remake everything that they've ever done, and they'll be set. Now, think about the landscape of neighborhoods in our local culture. Think about houses in the old part of Arnold, North Arnold or Lower Arnold, and Afton and South City and the older part of Fenton. These homes that were built in the early 1950s for middle-class families, working families, and then they've matured, and some of them had renters in them, but some of them still have 98-year-old ladies in them. and then they sell their house or their kids sell the house. Who buys these houses? Young families again. It's cycled back. And in many ways, history repeats itself. A period of prosperity took place. Banks were experimenting with new ways to do business. Prices in real estate were exceeding the actual value. And then what happened? The stock market crashed by 45%. And so what? Great Depression, massive layoffs. Well, what just happened 13 years ago? A period of prosperity followed by banks that were experimenting with new ways to do business, and real estate was valued at more than it was worth. The stock market took an even heavier hit than the Great Depression. Many jobs were lost. Now, the good thing about comparing the Depression to the recession is the recession lasted a few years. The Depression lasted for like decades. But history repeats itself. I was reading an article from 1962 in the St. Louis Globe-Democrat. And you know what the headline was? Can Walmart keep up with the big businesses? And there was a picture of Kmart and Target and some Woolworth or something like that. Can tiny Walmart keep up? Well, now who's the giant? Walmart's the giant, and now Kmart. It's all a cycle. Everything's a vapor. Our drive for achievement and security will never be satisfied apart from God's purpose. What we think is new in life is just recycled. It's a cycle. And get this one. I hate to depress you all, but here's the truth. The more we know, the worse we feel apart from God's purpose. Check this out. Ecclesiastes 1:12 through 18. I, the preacher, Solomon is referring back to himself, have been king over Israel and Jerusalem, and I applied my heart to seek and to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. And what did he discover? It is an unhappy business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and a striving after wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. So I said in my heart, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all of who were over Jerusalem before me, and my heart has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge, and I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is but a striving after wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. Anybody depressed yet? Aren't you glad you came to church to be uplifted, and then I just threw a cold, wet blanket all over your hearts and your souls today? Solomon is telling us two words. Life stinks. Everybody say it with me. Life stinks. It does. And the more you know, the more it stinks. Hey, just turn on the news and watch it for 30 minutes. Do you feel better about yourself or not? A lot of us are like, oh, I can't tell you how many people I talk to that say, oh, I don't watch the news. Like, I grew up, like, the news was on, like, at dinner time. Like, you watch it. Now we're like, oh, I don't watch that stuff anymore. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what's true. But if it is true, I hope it's not true. You know, we're just freaked out. It's like, the more you know, the worse you feel. It's kind of like, in little kids, parents, plug your little kids' ears. It's like that day that you realize, I'm elementary kids, disclaimer, I'm warning you. It's like that day, kids, when you realize that the jolly fat man doesn't actually come down a chimney. Parents, I hope you covered ears, because some people are going to hate me. He doesn't actually do that. And then when we learn that, I mean, I'll tell you, be real honest with you, I was told that, and my whole world exploded. I was like, why you been lying to me this whole time? I've been working, I've been sending letters. Where's the letters going? I mean, we literally condition our kids to believe a lie, don't we? Why? Because it's exciting. It's Christmas. Yay. So you go through that stage, and then they get to be 12 or 13. And I remember sitting there opening my presents, 12 or 13. I opened some presents up, you know, a hooded sweatshirt, a watch, some office supplies, you know, something educational. And I remember sitting there looking at my dad. I'm like, man, I unwrapped this in 10 minutes. Like, really? Is this what I've been so excited about all year? And my dad's like, just not what it used to be, is it, son? It's like our eyes open and we realize, oh, all this spark and this fairy tale and this magic is over. That's what adulting is, isn't it? You become an adult and you realize, oh, bills, responsibility, diapers, insurance, all of these things, caring for my parents. We realize these two words, life stinks. You can have all the stuff, you can have all the friends, you can have all the success. You might think you have a new idea, someone's done it before. You might think you're the best at something, guess what? Somebody's better. You might think you have enough in your bank account until something comes up and completely drains it. You might think you feel safe in your job until your skill is no longer marketable, or you make too much money and they hire somebody above you that makes less money and they push you down so you're jobless. It's happened to all of us in some way, some shape, right? All of these things. And you might think that having a great deal of wisdom is going to help you cope. But what does Solomon say? Actually, I'm pretty smart and I don't feel any better. I feel worse. Thanks, God. You know? Why is that? Because the wisdom of the world brings sadness. Everything in this life and on this earth somehow ends in death and in brokenness. But here's the good news. God has designed every single one of us in the depths of our heart to ask a question. Is this all there is? Why am I here? We ask that question of our existence. And for some of us, we think it's some broad idea. But let me tell you, it's not. God sent his son, Jesus. And Jesus came and lived a perfect life. And he gives us these instructions. What does he say? He says, be a disciple. Follow me. Give your life to following me. Then what does he say? I'll make you fishers of men. Make a disciple. This is the greater purpose. This is the greater calling. Be a disciple. Follow God. Find your fulfillment in him. Then help others do the same. And then invest your life and your efforts in helping that whole thing move forward. Man, we could fill our lives with all different types of stuff. Wisdom, money, success, work, relationships, sports, dance, everything you could ever name. But some of us, we just need to stop and ask why. Why am I spending so much time on this? Why am I thinking so much about this? Why do I care so much about this? It's kind of like me and a pudding snack pack. You guys like a good snack pack of pudding? I do. So you open up the lid, you got your adult-sized spoon, you know. Maybe it would help to have a smaller one. One of those Menchie spoons, right? But you get the spoon, you put it in the snack pack, you take a bite. You put it in, you take another bite. You take one more bite, snack pack's gone. And now what do you have? You have sadness. So here's the thing. You can continue to fill your life with empty calories, go get another snack pack, or you can just be sad at the fact that your snack pack's gone and you can't enjoy that anymore. See, life is just one giant perpetual snack pack. You can take a bite, you can take another. Hey, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but that snack pack's going to run out. So then you can go back to the pantry and find more stuff. If you're me, you're going to find baked Cheetos. And I'll go to that pantry, and I, no joke, this Christmas, confession time, ate an entire bag of baked Cheetos while I was playing cards. Entire bag. It felt so good. They melted in my mouth. They get down to this little bitty paste in my stomach so that I can literally fit the whole bag in my stomach and not feel full. What have I done? I ate a snack pack, an entire bag of Cheetos, and I feel worse off for it. And that's what we can do in our life. Fill our life with things that don't satisfy and fulfill our souls. So I've got a question. I've got a couple questions for you to focus on. This is the first one. What if we stop to ask why? What if we stop to ask why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I care so much? Why do I spend so much money on this? Why am I still holding on to this grudge or this hurt? Why am I afraid of whatever it is? That's one question all of us should ask. Why? The second one is this. What if the life that I've been living lacks God's purpose? For some of you today, you just need to say, God, I want you to take over my life and give me purpose. And I want to start giving my life as a dad, as a mom, as a worker, as an individual, as an uncle, as an aunt, as a family member, as a person that serves on something at church or in the community. I want to see it as a disciple-making opportunity. But what if the life you've been living lacks God's purpose? Some of you just need to turn it over today. And thirdly, what would it look like if all of us left this place and said, I am going to ask why. Why am I doing this? Why am I investing in this? And as we ask why, then we're going to align ourselves with God's purpose. We're going to live for eternity. We're going to live for the things, not the snack packs, but we're going to live for the things that matter, not 10 years, not 50, but 500, 5,000, and 50,000 years from now, because that's the only thing that's going to last. Disciple-making efforts, being a disciple and helping others to find it. Would you all bow your head and close your eyes with me? Today is just an opportunity for us to look in the mirror of Ecclesiastes and reflect. Ask the question, why? So as you ask the question, why today, our band's going to start playing. I want you to take a minute just to reflect on what that means for you. For some of you, you need to ask, why I've been holding on to this hurt? Why am I living in fear? Why am I spending so much time on this? Why am I spending so much thought on this? Why am I spending so much money on this? And just realign your life. For others of you, you realize that all of your life, you've been missing that purpose. And so you just straight up need to become a follower of Jesus today. You need to become that disciple that says, God, I want to do things your way, not mine, but your way. Lord, take my life. I want to walk and follow in your example. I don't know where you're at today, but I want you just to take a moment and reflect and think about and pray about that as we sing this next song.